Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the Cult Refresh on Quality Candor, your one-stop shop for great works of the past and present worth your time and attention in a weekly digest program. I'm your host, Jake Kelta. I'm a filmmaker, writer, and composer with a love of media young and old, here to take you on a trip through the wild worlds of sight, sound, and prose. This week,
we are silent observers of a harrowing Cold War escapade as nuclear secrets are traded in 1952's The Thief. We relive the soul-stirring stylings of a jazz icon in the last of a unique trio of albums. From 1964, it's Coltrane sound. And lastly, we dive into the world of speculative fiction with one of its most powerful voices spinning one of his most iconic tales. From 1965, it's Harlan Ellison with "Repent, Harlequin," said the Ticktock man.
All that and more in this week's installment of the Cult Refresh.
A half-decade into the Cold War, and already new and exciting ways of depicting spycraft were on the silver screen for all to see. The man at the heart of it all is Dr. Alan Fields, an esteemed nuclear physicist, now a turncoat for enemy nations. The year is 1952, the documents are top atomic secrets, and the film is The Thief. Ray Milland stars as Fields, a man enmeshed in a tangled web of microfilm and paranoia as he tries to evade the FBI and maintain his standing with his case officer. Before the days of Super Spy 007 and the explosion of the spy thriller genre across the globe, producer-director team Clarence Green and Russell Rouse land closer to John le Carre than anything in the exotic worlds of Ian Fleming. The Thief is as tense and unpretentious a thriller as anything in the film noir canon, trading in well-staged and anxiety-inducing suspense sequences, all amplified by veteran composer Herschel Burt Gilbert's smart score and the gripping camera work of Sam Levitt, who serves up the film in equal parts noir style and cold realism. But you may notice something right out of the gate as the film rolls on. Listen closely. Not a word is spoken, neither in incident nor in direct conversation. Director Rouse brings us the action of The Thief exclusively through what is best described as pure cinema, the act of telling the story through as much visual and sonic storytelling as possible, dispensing with excess exposition or explanatory dialogue. Here, Rouse goes for broke, with information conveyed through a combination of text, staging, and the central performance of the great Ray Milland, who exudes a perfect blend of moral conflict and unending nervousness, in sharp contrast to the cold assurance of his case officer, played by Martin Gable to chilling perfection. While your mileage may vary with silent cinema as a whole, the world having lived with talking pictures for nearly 100 years by now, through effective sound design, enveloping music, and a tremendous cast guided by the steadfast vision of directors such as Rouse, The Thief stands tall as more than a Cold War yarn or a B-picture as many noir of the era were seen. The Thief is a testament to the power of visual storytelling in a medium where such storytelling is crucial.
Before our record of the day, a quick round of Rare Groove Roundup. A stop by the record shop of yore where only the deepest of cuts and the most secret of sides dwell.
This week we've got 3 sides off of 80s soundtracks, but don't expect the usual fare. First up is a yacht rocker from the sister of one of the greats. Maureen McDonald, sister of blue-eyed soul legend Michael, recorded this infectious piece of pop for the 1983 animated fantasy Twice Upon a Time. Her only solo single to date, it's Twice Upon a Time on the Full Moon label.
I'm glad I didn't know just how long
Next up is an AOR barnstormer. Written for the 1986 hot-rodding cult classic The Wraith, Canadian singer-songwriter Tim Feehan cooks up a song as exciting as the film it accompanies. Courtesy of the Scotty Brothers label, it's Where's the Fire?
I'm racing to a 5 alarm. Should slow down, but I just can't stop. Move over if you see me coming. I've got the Midas touch. I feel the heat inside me. It's not enough, but it's a little too much. There's something out there I can hear it calling. I wanna hold it, but I'm moving too fast. Where's the fire? Everybody's always asking me, where is it, baby? Doesn't anybody know?
And lastly, a tune handcrafted for the dance floor, as well as for a staple of Canadian kids television, though some of you might recognize it more from the slightly more mature affair that is 2011's Hobo with a Shotgun. Originally recorded by Steve Lunt for Kevin Gillis's beloved show The Raccoons, series voice actor and talented singer Lisa Lougheed makes it her own in this 1987 recording of Run With Us, courtesy of Run Records.
When darkness falls, leaving shadows in the night, don't be afraid. Wipe that fear from your eyes. The desperate love keeps on driving you wrong. Don't be afraid. You're not alone. You can run with us. We've got everything you need. Run with us.
Thanks for swinging by the Roundup. We'll be back again with 3 more gems you just can't beat. Now on with the record of the week.
I see.
Room over the garage out there that I'm getting fixed now. I think it's gonna be my practice room. You know, sometimes you build a room and it ends up you still going to toilet. So I don't know. I hope I like it, but I keep a horn on the piano, and I have a horn in my bedroom. My flute's usually back there, because when I go there, I'm tired, so I lay down and practice.
This week's artist remains one of the titans in his field. Saxophonist John Coltrane is a legend among legends, a gifted player and composer who managed to both master and revolutionize the genre through his pioneering use of modes and his coming to the fore in free jazz. Capable of breakneck runs and sensitive atmospherics with a spirituality that would come to inform his latter-day output, Coltrane's dynamism and style remain an influence that has lasted through to the present. When Coltrane left Atlantic Records in 1961, he left more than a string of excellent LPs. Train also left sessions unused. And just as previous label Prestige would do, Atlantic took advantage of those unused recordings and released them to the public as the jazz player's star rose ever higher. Coltrane's sound was the penultimate of these reissues and the final record to utilize sessions from the artist's legendary gold record, My Favorite Things, in 1961, the second album being 1962's Coltrane Plays the Blues. In spite of the artist not having a say in the album's release, Coltrane's sound lives up to its title as a terrific exemplar of his group's talent and technique, on top of birthing 2 standards in Central Park West and my all-time favorite Coltrane tune, Equinox. Train stands tall on tenor and soprano, backed by regular collaborators Elvin Jones on drums and McCoy Tyner on piano, with bassist Steve Davis completing the lineup. The quartet really are the 4 pistons in an engine, as Tyner once described. navigating area fares like The Night Has 1,000 Eyes and the subtle shifts in groove and rhythm found in Body and Soul, Liberia, and Satellite with grace, ease, and an infectious energy, with time for Tyner and Jones to light up tracks in their own unique way. Widely available on both disc and digital, any fan of John Coltrane, jazz, or fine music full stop owes it to themselves to pick up this stellar record. A 6-track symphony of vivid timbres and incredibly crafted compositions, courtesy of one of the greatest sonic artisans of the genre and in the canon of American music. It truly is Coltrane sound.
If you enjoy what we do here on the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon or Subscribestar. For as little as $5 a month, you gain early access to new episodes and special updates on the latest we have in store.
Get stuffed! The Harlequin replied, sneering. You've been late a total of 63 years, 5 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, 12 hours, 41 minutes, 59 seconds, 0.036111 microseconds. You've used up everything you can, and more. I'm going to turn you off. Scare someone else. I'd rather be dead than live in a dumb world with a boogeyman like you. It's my job. You're full of it. You're a tyrant. You have no right to order people around and kill them if they show up late. You can't adjust. You can't fit in. Unstrap me and I'll fit my fist in your mouth. You're a nonconformist. That didn't used to be a felony. It is now. Live in the world around you. I hate it, the world around me. It's a terrible world. Repent, Harlequin, said the Ticktock man. Get stuffed!
Of all the voices in modern fiction, be it genre, speculative, or otherwise, few could match the output, both of quality and quantity, of Harlan Ellison. The Ohio-born author stands tall in the modern literary canon as a fierce individual bound not by genre, concept, or agreeableness, but by his own unwavering convictions and willingness to break new ground. And with over 1,700 short stories to Ellison's name, it's no surprise if more than a handful make their way into the annals of history. One such story is Repent, Harlequin, said the Ticktock man. Courtesy of the December 65 issue of Galaxy Science Fiction, Repent takes us into a future as real as it is surreal. A dystopia micromanaged down to the seconds, overseen by the master timekeeper, who is not only in charge of maintaining the schedule of society down to the letter, but of punishing those who make even the most minute of infractions. Though for the anarchic Harlequin, the infractions made are anything but minute.
And then, scrunching about on the airboat, he released the holding pins that fastened shut the ends of the homemade pouring troughs that kept his cargo from dumping prematurely. And as he worked the trough pins, the airboat slid over the factory workers, and $150,000 worth of jelly beans cascaded down on the express trip. Jelly beans, millions and billions of purples and yellows and greens and licorice and grape and raspberry and mint, and round and smooth and crunchy outside and soft and mealy inside and sugary and bouncing, jouncing, tumbling, clittering, clattering, skittering, fell on the heads and shoulders and hard hats and carapaces of the Timken workers, tinkling on the slidewalk and bouncing away and rolling about underfoot and filling the sky on their way down with all the colors of joy and childhood and holidays. Coming down in a steady rain, a solid wash, a torrent of colors and sweetness out of the sky from above, and entering the universe of sanity and metronomic order with quite mad, cuckoo newness. Jelly beans.
The Harlequin relishes in disrupting the tightly wound structure of the timely tomorrow, thus making him public enemy number one. While Ellison creates a larger-than-life satire of punctuality, the idea that one's life can become ruled by micromanaged schedules and regimens to the point of inflexibility is certainly one that rings true. What makes Ellison's take on it leap off the page is the way in which he tells it. His famously ornate prose mixed with the non-linear structure and his entertaining characterizations catapult this dystopia into classic status, as we revel and are fascinated by the Harlequin's rebellion, and the way in which this society regards such rebellion. Having been reprinted dozens of times, Repent Harlequin is safe and sound in just about every Ellison anthology and omnibus on the market. Yours truly owns it in the decade retrospective Alone Against Tomorrow. Anywhere you can find Mr. Ellison's books, you can find Harlequin. And anywhere you can find Harlequin, you ought to read it the moment you can. As seminal as it is sly, and as exciting as it is experimental, Repent Harlequin, said the Ticktock man, truly stands the test of time.
Before we go, we have a special corner of the show devoted exclusively to the wonderful works out in the world of today. Whether they're the titans of the Iron Age, exciting independent productions, or plain old excellence, we like to call them today's top shelf talents. Not all of them were dropped last week, but all are worth your time, attention, and support. This week,
Summer Break by Your Sister's a Werewolf. Released last fall, composer Josh Mullen's synthwave project melts production polish with authentic retro sounds, lending his work a unique appeal compared to most other projects in the scene. Summer Break goes for broke in that regard, the soundtrack to a cult classic that never was, or has yet to be. Summer Break is loaded with terrific touches, from the thick guitar tones on After Hours to veteran session players like drummer Keith Carlock and saxophonist Tom Scott lending their tremendous talents to the proceedings. Available in physical form via Time Slaves and anywhere you can find the project's excellent records on the World Wide Web, you owe it to yourself to step back in time authentically with a record as cool and as enjoyable as Summer Break. Alyssa by Casper Croas. Keeping in the theme of authentic revivals, here's a throwback to the dawn of survival horror as we know it. Alyssa is a tense adventure fantasy drawing inspiration from Resident Evil and games of its ilk while crafting a uniquely offbeat fairy tale world of mechanical dolls and surreal creatures, all within the haunting halls of a Victorian mansion that the titular royal agent must traverse. From its tank controls and challenging puzzles to its DOS-like MIDI soundtrack and charmingly amateur voice acting, the commitment to recreating the ambience and mechanics of a classic PS1 title is astounding. Whereas developers like Puppet Combo seek to take the aesthetic language of the era and make it their own, to great effect, Croas and company managed to craft an experience plucked straight out of 1997. You can find Alyssa on Steam and on itch.io. Screaming Soup. Imagine a horror host like Joe Bob Briggs taking to the video review format with a gonzo Weird West meets Newgrounds world. If you can see it in your mind's eye, you may be in for a heaping helping of Screaming Soup. Gunslinging skeleton horror host Dead West takes on a surreal assortment of obscure B-movies while getting wrapped up in all sorts of absurd afterlife shenanigans. With goat sidekick Billy, his ghostly best gal Mandy, and a cast of fun, lovable, and bizarre characters, creator and one-man production machine Dan Fowler has been delighting his Scream freaks for nearly a decade with the antics of the Howl Inn's patrons. With 50-plus episodes under his belt and the stamp of approval from B-picture legends like Charles Band and Lloyd Kaufman, as well as a Silver Bolo Award from none other than Joe Bob himself. You can find Dead West and the gang over on YouTube at Screaming Soup and on their website, screamingsoup.com.
And so ends another episode of the Cult Refresh. If you dig what we do, why not subscribe? Stay tuned for all the exciting finds and old favorites we have in store next week. And if you're curious as to what I get up to beyond Videoland, check out the links in the description for my digital sci-fi pulp magazine 365 Infantry, my radio show Anything Goes Open Airwaves, my music on Bandcamp, and just about anywhere else I pop up on the World Wide Web. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the future.